And now, ladies and gentlemen...
Oh, Bob.
The senator's in again. What is it, Frank?
Bob, what's the matter with that Alice Faye? I just asked her for a vote, and she hit me with a stick.
You did?
Yes.
Well, I'd like to be around when you ask Tony Martin for his vote.
Oh, well, what's one vote, more or less? The modern political technique calls for mass solicitation, my boy. The single vote is a thing of the past.
Listen, Your Excellency, I'm laying 18-1 right now. You don't get a single vote.
A brash prediction, my short-sighted young friend. Or as a sage old Frenchman once said, a bon chat, bon rat. Here's the first program, and they can't stick to English.
Never mind the proverbs. What about the votes?
Well, for instance, every doctor in the state will vote for me.
Every doctor? Why should they?
Bob, they aren't going to let down a brother surgeon. After a lifetime spent in the medical profession, I'm giving up my practice to serve the state. If, as Senator Morgan, I can be of assistance to my former colleagues in the medical profession, I shall deem it only just...
Frank,
what?
Did I hear you say a lifetime in the medical profession?
Certainly. A fascinating career, Bob, and a rewarding one. Why, my very first case was a difficult operation for which I charged my patient $4,000.
Good heavens, Frank. What did he have?
$4,000. After that, I started to charge real money. I'll never forget the tracheotomy I performed on a carpenter using the man's own Brice and bait. What the... Well, I meant brace and bit. It doesn't matter. If that doesn't get me the medical vote, nothing will.
Right. Don't tell me you're going to have the gall to represent yourself as an ex-doctor to a bunch of doctors.
I resent the implication of chicanery. For 3 decades, I have toiled in the vineyards of Pasteur, of Lister, of the Mayo brothers. Why, I spent 5 solid years in chemical research, investigating the nitrates.
Chemical research? What do you know about nitrates?
Well, they're cheaper than day rates. I know all about chemistry. Who do you think discovered the higher alkaloid, the lower enzyme, the medium boiled egg? I once spent 2 weeks in my laboratory, night and day, without food or sleep. It was just before insulin was discovered, and I was on the track of a very similar substance. Time after time, I distilled, I filtered, I redistilled, I analyzed, I oxygenized, I scrutinized. I was like a madman on the trail of my great discovery. And when finally I had isolated the pure compound, a little flask of solution, scarcely more than a gram, I felt like Archimedes 10,000 years ago when he cried, Eureka!
Had you discovered insulin, Frank?
No, it turned out to be Angostura bitters.
I suppose after a triumph like that, you specialize in chemical research.
No, Bob, my real love was surgery. During my tenure as chief surgeon at St. Genevieve's, I was known as No Nerves Morgan, the surgeon with X-ray eyes and fingers of steel. No case was too desperate, too hopeless for me. I'm the only man in the world that ever performed a double cardiectomy.
Double cardiac? What's that?
2 hearts.
3 spades.
I passed.
Frank, couldn't you just give us a little hint about the Morgan technique?
Morgan technique? Well, I generally take them out to dinner, then we go somewhere and dance, maybe a highball or 2, and by that time,
Frank,
I've got them full on.
I'm talking about surgery.
Oh, surgery! Yeah. Oh, yes, surgery. Yes, well, you probably read of my greatest European triumph. It was written up in the medical journals a few years ago.
Well, Doctor, I don't seem to recall the article. It was in the Lancet of what date?
Yes, well, I don't remember offhand, but it was in the neighborhood of April 14th, 1936. Page 13 to 19 inclusive. A very ably written article.
Who wrote it?
I did.
Well, what was this rare piece of butchery?
It was a radical osteoparaphractomy, complicated by a severe case of mange. I performed the operation in the presence of the entire Royal College of Surgeons, in the famous operating amphitheater of St. John's Wood.
Did you use Dr. Cronkite's incision?
No, Cronkite was contraindicated. I used Paret's Half Moon. The picture of that room will never be erased from my mind. The tense throng, nervous with excitement. The gleaming knives, the blinding lights.
Sounds like the opening of a Hollywood meat market.
Yes. No. There was a deathly stillness as I entered the room. I tightened my rubber gloves, glanced at the anesthetist manometer. I saw that quick action was impulsive. And without turning from the patient, I barked to the instrument nurse. Scalpel, please. 2 deft strokes with a keen blade. The nurse supplied 10 hemostats, and I coolly went to work. For 3 long hours, I amazed my colleagues with the dexterity of my technique. And when I tied off the last suture and removed my gloves, pandemonium broke loose. To a man, the College of Surgeons rose to their feet and rocked me with a salvo of applause.
They applauded while the patient was still on the table?
Yes.
What did you do?
Well, I took out his tonsils for an encore. Well, Bob, I've got to go down to the Bar Association. As an attorney of 20 years standing, I expect to pick up a couple of votes down there. Well, so long.
So long. Now, Ted Pearson.
Thank you, Bob. Earlier on tonight's program, I told you all about the new and improved Maxwell House coffee with its new flavor thrill. Now, to make sure that you get all this marvelous new richness and fullness of flavor, we packed this new and improved blend in the same familiar blue super vacuum can to bring Maxwell House coffee to you roaster fresh. You see, when ground coffee is packed in ordinary containers so the air can get at it, its flavor fades just as my voice is fading.
All right, Ted. Come on back. We get the idea.
Well, I guess you all know I did that just to show you how the flavor and body of coffee fades when it's packed in ordinary containers. You see, all coffee, whether ground or in the beans, starts to lose flavor after roasting. And ground coffee, when packed in ordinary containers where the air can reach it, loses as much as 45%, nearly half its flavor in only 9 days. But this loss of flavor can't happen to Maxwell House. Maxwell House is taken, still warm and fragrant from the roasting ovens, put into the super vacuum can from which all air has been removed, and then sealed, so no air can reach the coffee afterwards. You get it roaster fresh. And this is important to you. Maxwell House comes in 2 grinds to fit your own method of coffee making. Do you make drip coffee? Well, then buy the special drip grind Maxwell House for every type of drip or glass coffee maker. Do you make percolator or boiled coffee? Then buy the regular grind Maxwell House. Then treat your family to this new deliciousness, this greater coffee pleasure. First thing tomorrow, get a pound of Maxwell House, the coffee that's always good to the last drop. And please remember that Maxwell House coffee, now a better coffee than ever, is still selling and will continue to sell at low prices friendly to your budget. So if you haven't tried Maxwell House lately, then this is the time to make friends with Maxwell House.
Meredith Wilson's series of concert hall presentations was a musical highlight of last year's Good News program. Tonight we resume the series with Meredith's arrangement of a composition that is known and loved by every American, young and old. Ole Speak's famous song, Sylvia.
When the
Ladies and gentlemen, I know you won't want to miss our Good News program next Thursday because we're going to play host to Miss Norma Shearer, whose new picture, Marie Antoinette, is breaking records in theaters all over the country. We'll also welcome back to our program next Thursday a little girl you've all been asking for, Judy Garland. This is all in addition to the regular gang, Frank Morgan, Fanny, Brice, Hanley, Stafford, and Meredith Wilson and his orchestra. I'll be seeing you next Thursday, and in the meantime, remember, go to the movies and take the family with you.